Okay, I'm going to start today with a request. Start my napping for today with a request. Someone asked me for a Lake Mojave. Right, it's a California or West Coast style. Took a bunch of notes. Well, that's the extent of my notes anyway. So I want to work on the Lake Mojave. I've never made one before. Seems pretty straightforward. The good thing is I can use clunky pieces. So I'm going to start with this one here, and if this one breaks, I'll just use this one here. The preform size for these, 2 to 3 inches long and 1/2 inch to 1 3/8. I just kind of figured this out from the other dimensions that I got. They're all in millimeters. Anyway, if you want to take a screenshot, there you go. Random flaking pattern. Cross section is diamond shaped or biconvex, which is pretty thick. Some of these were 2 to 1 width to thickness ratio, some 3 to 1, I think all the way to 6 to 1. So the average would be like 3 to 1, which is pretty easy to do. All right, let's see. So I'll start off. I gotta make sure I don't take too much of the thickness off, which is counterintuitive. I gotta make sure it stays thick. I gotta see what I can do about that curve in this piece. I think it's raw chert. It borders on being bull gravel. It's a Texas chert. Bull gravel is what you can get from the landscape supply yards. No, I'm not talking about landscape bushes and artificial turf. Not that kind of landscape supply. I'm talking about the kind that have piles of rocks, boulders, and gravel for driveways and stuff like that. In Texas, if you can find a place that has bull gravel or bull rock, that's going to be nappable in many cases. And those landscape supply yards are everywhere in the U.S. And many of them have rock that can be napped, and they don't even know it. You go walk up to them and you walk up to the guy at the counter or inside or out. You go poking around the yard and he comes out and you ask, do you got flint? They're going to go, what? Flint, chert, agate. What? So you've got to be able to talk in their vocabulary. In Texas, you got to say bull rock or bull gravel. I don't know what you say in other states, but I imagine some of them will respond to the term agate. Oh yeah, we got agate over there. No, I don't mean the little pea gravel stuff. I want big pieces of agate. Oh, then you got to go down the road to our other yard that has the big stuff. All right, that kind of stuff. They don't know what you're talking about, really. They might. Some of them might, because they're getting wise to the nappers, and they're getting smart and starting to cater to people who want napping material, especially near big cities. But if they've got high turnover at the rock yard, you're not going to know what you're talking about. Oh, I've only been here for like 4 days. I don't know what you're talking about. In that case, you just walk around their yard and say, I'm just going to walk around. If I find something, I'll buy a few buckets if you can buy them by bucket. They usually say, sure, yeah, 80 pounds in the bucket or whatnot. All right, so that's that. That's where this rock is here. It's one of those. Okay, so Lake Mojave. Thick. All right, so believe it or not, it gets difficult to be thick. To keep your points thick. All right. I think I got plenty. Yeah, I got 3 inches there. The stem is usually half or a little bit more than half of the point, on average. All right, let's see. I was going to start doing the indirect percussion already, but I'm going to take some direct percussion flicks and see what I can do about this. Turtleback. Oh, that was easier than I thought. All right. Flakes are flying everywhere. I think I cracked the whole thing. It's going to be a problem. I see a crack in here already. Right across the middle. Now, it might not go all the way through, but that's not a good thing. See that crack all the way through? All the way across, I mean? We'll see. It might not go all the way through. All right, let's see. These things can be pretty narrow. I don't want to get more narrow than an inch right away. Yeah, 1 3/8. Some of them are 1 3/8, but those are the bigger ones. Okay, so I was hoping that I would be able to have a lot of thickness on it, but that crack needs to be removed. I got a bad feeling already. All right, let's see. I got a feeling it goes down pretty deep, which means I need to thin it down a lot. Maybe not too deep. Yeah, deep enough. I'll offer that in the auction. Maybe someone wants those pieces. All right, let's go with this one here. You know, somebody might want those pieces just because they have absolutely no idea what good chert looks like. That's a fairly good chert right there. What it looks like, what it naps like, what it feels like, how heavy it is. They have absolutely no idea. They've been napping glass from the bottle dump behind their uncle's house on a property they've owned for 100 years. He's out in the middle of nowhere. That kind of thing. Yeah, so a lot of people don't actually have no idea what's good rock and what's not. I have people sending me stuff that they think the Native Americans made points from, and maybe they have stone that looks like it, an artifact made of stone that looks like their local stone. You go, yeah, for sure they made it out of this stuff. Here, try some. And I get it, and it's not even a flint or a chert. It's a limestone, or it's a other type of rock, which, you know, it'll break in a flake-like pattern or a flake-like scar, and based on that, they'll start thinking, and voila, they'll hatch a thought experiment without touching the rock at all. And I'm not making fun of you guys, I'm just saying this is what happens. You form a thought experiment and you go, okay, it flakes. There is a flake scar. The flake scar means it can be flaked, or the flakeability is greater than 0. Therefore, in my thought experiment, something can be made from it that resembles a tool or a point, by virtue of the flakeability being greater than 0. Doesn't matter how much. Doesn't matter if it's 0.0001 on a scale of 1 to 10. If it's flakes better than 0, good enough for my thought experiment. Now, though, if they start napping it and they go, I can't do anything with this. I can't do anything. It's not flaking very well, and I have an artifact that looks like this, with like this kind of material. They must have been super good at napping it. Wow. It's amazing. This piece of concrete rock that I have that flakes on a 0.001 on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the best. In order to get points that are 7 on a scale of 1 to 10, they must have had excellent napping skills, superhuman strength, superhuman intelligence, and all that stuff. And then they send it to me and go, you know, if you can't do anything with it, they don't tell me this, but I can just imagine, right? Maybe it's just me. But if I cannot duplicate what they think can be duplicated, I'm not a good napper, or he doesn't know what he's talking about, or no one knows what they're talking about. Because it can be napped. Nappability is greater than 0. Yeah, well, thought experiments are not reality, and that's all I gotta say. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, so Lake Mojave. This is actually turning out to be a pretty good piece. Now, this piece is really cool. It looks like a little tree there. This is a piece of Texas chert. I'm trying to remember where I got this. I think a friend of mine brought it over. It's part of a big nodule. Yeah. This is a healed crack, I think. All right. Ancient. Very, very ancient. Yeah. It could present a problem because it can be weak. Yeah, it might be weak. But anyway. This stuff can be heat treated. I'm not sure if I heat treated it. It looks like I did. Because a lot of times this is rough stuff. But it's a chert. And I'll be offering pieces of chert again in this upcoming auction. So you guys can get samples and stuff. A lot of times I don't know what I'm sending out because I mix it all together. I don't really care what it is. I really couldn't care what the material is at all, as long as it naps, right? Naps well. And what I mean is not greater than 0. I mean good nappable stone. Whatever it is, I don't really care what it is. Because then I would have to try to separate it from everything else, and that would take up more space. I would have one tray on a shelf with, let's say, high quality rainy buttes, right? Just as an example. I would have a little box of it taking up a big space because, in the future you might get more, right? So you can't stick it in a little Ziploc bag, 2x2, stick it on the shelf. No, you need a box for it separately because you might get more or something similar. It takes up a lot of space, so I just throw it in. Rainy buttes, bad, good, grainy, smooth, shiny, dull. All this stuff is all in the same box together. Same with this stuff. I have these covers for cooking in microwaves. They make good trays. It goes in the 5-gallon bucket really well too. Anyway, I mix it all together because I just collect stuff that's good to nap and not worry about what it's called. So with that long explanation, that's why I didn't really write anything on the flakes that I sent out last time. I could label all the flakes, what it is, what it's called, right? Where I got it from, and my rating scale on a 1 to 10, from 1 being really bad to 10 being really good. I could do all that on each flake in SPAL, but I'm not going to. Long story short, oh my goodness, that would maybe someday when I have a library building of rocks. How's that? Or like a storage shed that looks like a library where I have shelves and compartments with all the different rocks and labeled and all that stuff. Every box labeled. Maybe. But for now, I'm just going to have to guess on a lot of this stuff when I send it out. I've had people ask me to make stuff out of stone and tell them what it is after I make it and send it to them. And I got to scramble around and look. Where did I get that from? Where is it? What is it? Did I get it from Ohio or Arkansas? Oh, no. It's from Nevada. Wait a second. Wait. No. It's from Michigan. Kentucky. I can't remember. This stuff looks the same all over the place. A lot of times, it all looks the same. Or very similar to each other. So I got to guess. So I apologize if some of you have stone. It makes me laugh. Some of you have stone that I call Texas chert when it's actually from Kentucky or something like that. Because I really don't have the space to keep it all separate and organized. Okay, I got these trays that I put in the 5-gallon buckets. That's as far as I can separate them. And I usually separate the raw from the heat treat. A couple of reasons for that is, one, the heat treat is usually a lot better than nap, so I prefer to go to that first. But also, to get used to the differences. Some of the differences are extremely subtle. Getting back to what's good rock and what's not good rock to nap. And some of you guys don't have any idea. Well, there is subtle differences between high quality raw and heat treat of various types. There is heat treat that is very glass-like. Heat treat that is not glass-like at all, and it seems grainy, seems raw, but it is heat treated. Some is heat treat with low heat, relatively low heat, that's extremely glassy, and some is heat treated with extremely high heat that is dull. And everything in between, all these different combinations of stuff. Sometimes with a heat treat, part of the rock heat treats well and part of it doesn't. So the heat treat can be really bad on one side and really good on the other. Like let's say this was heat treated. The tip might have heat treated really well on this darker stuff. You can see it's slightly darker right here than this lighter stuff. or the vice versa. So for me to tell you, well, this particular type of stone in general heat treats well, blah blah blah, to a new guy, and he gets some and he heat treats it and he doesn't have the same result, then they're going, hey, he doesn't know what he's talking about, he's not a good napper, this is ridiculous, he should know everything, he should keep it all separate and organized and cataloged, blah blah blah. Well, even if I did keep it all separate and organized and cataloged, you gotta understand that even within the same preform, you're gonna have different consistencies. That's usually the rule. The different consistencies make it every piece original, every piece unique. And every piece unpredictable. And you just have to manage your risk. And as you gain experience in napping, you realize this. And you start to calm down and everything gets cool. Alright, yeah. Just go with the flow on everything. No big deal. If you know what it is, it's fine. If you don't know what it is, it's fine. I don't really care anymore. Those are the kind of guys I like to deal with. I'll ask them, do you have any big stones? Small stones? Medium size? Whatever? I've only got something such and such. I don't know what it is exactly. Does it nap alright? Yeah, it naps okay. Alright, send me some. Alright. Or I'll send you some. Yep. No problem. Do you need to know what it is? No, I don't need to know what it is. Just if it's good to nap and it can heat treat, just tell me the temperature that you've heated it to. Okay. Everything is copacetic and cool. No fuss, no muss. I get their rock, it's maybe not that good. I don't say anything. They get my rock, maybe it's not that good. They don't say anything. They don't go like, oh, you should have had this cataloged, stored properly. I really need to know exactly what the properties are. Blah, blah, blah. It gets old if you start getting into that sort of mindset. Anyway. I'm saying all this stuff so I don't have to deal with the guys at any auction sometimes that are a little fussy. It's just part of the deal. I mean, I don't mind it that much. I'm just letting you know there's a lot of variables. But the stuff I send out, it will be nappable. I won't play a trick on you and say, yeah, it's nappable and include something that's concrete. And then if you say, you sent me something, there's no way I can do anything with it. Is it nappable? I could go and snicker and say, oh yeah, it's nappable. Greater than 0. Why shouldn't I? People do that to me. No, I won't do that to you. Alright. What else do I talk about during this? What I'm trying to do is preserve the thickness of this and still try to maintain a semblance of the preform shape. Because the final flaking on this Lake Mojave is going to be super easy, relatively speaking. The hard part is getting the cross section right, the proportions correct, the dimensions correct, and not have step fractures on it all over the place. I looked at some Lake Mojave points online. Even though the flaking is random, it's not steppy, as far as I can tell. And some of these were made of obsidian too. It appears, I think. Maybe it was dacite I was looking at. Alright, so this is a kind of like a preform. Before I lose time here, lose track of time. Let's see. All right, so 12 by 29. Let's see. If it was 36, it would be 3 to 1. So it's between 21, between 2 to 1 and 3 to 1 right now, which is perfect. I don't need to go any thinner. Was that in focus or not? I don't need to go any thinner. I just need to shape it. I don't even need to thin down the stem very much. Right? I think I can finish the whole thing with indirect percussion, so I'll be focusing on that. Now, how did they do this back in the day? I wish I knew. I don't have any texts that I've been reading up on as far as this style. This is a transitional paleo point. The stem is heavily ground, so it does have that aspect. But transitional paleo means it's not quite as old as Clovis, but close. I'm trying to get rid of some of these step fractures. It's close to the age of Clovis, but not quite. They still retain some of the traits like ground stems. These did not have thinning flakes from the base though, so I got to watch that. There is certain flaking characteristics on these various points. I'm not sure if they kept some of the cortex. That's one thing when I'm doing points that are not from Texas. I don't have much research to back me up as far as what I've got in my brain. I don't know if they would leave some of the cortex on the basis here or not. Maybe some of you guys can add that in the comments. But what I'm going to do is just refine the flaking and do all of this with indirect percussion. And hopefully not take forever, and hopefully not rant too much. I got a busy day, but I'm thinking about not offering that much for this next auction. The last auction, as I was looking over all the bids, it was taking forever to refresh. It was extremely slow connection. This was the slowest connection I've ever had. And it happens at the end of the auction when everyone's checking to see if they won. It took me 45 minutes to get through them all. I had 15 items, so if I just reduce the number of items, I think it should reduce the amount of traffic on my channel so I can get through and let everybody know what's going on faster, and not offer as many items. Also, I was not able to see one of the bids, and just my luck, the bid I was not able to see, the only one in the whole time I've ever been auctioning, which isn't that long, but in all the auctions, I've never had the problem of not being able to see a bid. And that particular bid happened to be higher than all the other bids. So the winner said, "What's going on? I bid higher than everybody else. I didn't get it." Well, I couldn't see the bid. I couldn't see his comment. Now, how that happened, I don't know. I could have happy fingers and accidentally deleted removed his comment accidentally. But that means the window would have to pop up and I would have to choose the remove. I don't know. That's a little bit too happy fingery for me. I don't think I would be able to do 2 steps with the pushing the wrong button, but you never know. Anyway, if you are worried about me not seeing your comment, and if you're going to get very angry, or if you don't like the way YouTube keeps track of time, and you say to me that, well, I looked at the clock and it was exactly 8:59, and I put in my bid at exactly 8:59, and YouTube shows that my bid is not old enough to qualify for a bid before 9 p.m. It's stupid. If you're going to get all bent out of shape, then I recommend contacting me by email if you want something. Just send me an email. Are you able to sell such and such and such and such? Do you have one available, or can you make one? And I'll say yes or no. Yeah, I got one, or no, I don't have one. I won't be able to make one until summertime or whatever. You can contact me by email if you think you cannot deal with problems that may come up, or issues that you just think are unacceptable. All right, I'm getting there slowly but surely. I'm going to finish up on the next video. Okay.